So my question is, will you ever be ready? Will you ever be ready to turn on the camera? Will you ever be ready to write that book? Will you ever be ready to jump on stage? Will you ever be ready to start the business? I can tell you this, most likely you won't, but the greatest thing that you could ever do is just start. And so when you start, when you push the button, when you push record, when you write the first letter, when you jump out and you start thinking about how you can do that business, that's when you start to learn the lessons. And I thought this question this morning is the question I was asking God is like, how can I win every time though? Because I am scared a lot of times of trying and then it not working out. I'm scared sometimes as a kid, growing up, wearing something and then somebody reacting to it in a weird way. But what if I knew I could win every single time? And so that's what I asked God this morning is how can I win every time? Because if I knew I was going to win every time, then I would give myself permission every single day to do the thing that he had me to do. Sometimes I wrestle with him, and I don't know if you guys do, but sometimes I wrestle with God because he'll put something on my heart, and I'll be like, yeah, but I got to do this, I got to do that, I got all these things. And he wants me to be present, he wants me to listen, and he wants me to act. And then when I see the results of what it is that he told me to do, and then I did it, then it will build me faith to faith, glory to glory. We're in the book of Proverbs 26 because we're doing the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. We're taking 3,000-year-old wisdom, and we're helping you, every one of us, to understand that it's more applicable today than ever. These proverbs never disappoint, and today is not the exception. Proverbs 26, corresponding proverb, corresponding day, 3,000-year-old wisdom. Let's get this party started.
Cause we believin', it's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
How do I win every time? That's what I asked God this morning. And he came back to me very simply and he said, well, when it's my will, when it's my plan, and when it's my timing, that's when you win every time. And I was like, yeah, but how? How can I win every time though? Because I want this kind of blueprint. I don't know about you, but I want that blueprint a lot of times and I want to know exactly. And it's amazing because the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day, as we've been going through, if this is your first episode, the Wisdom and the Vibe playlist on YouTube has all of the corresponding proverbs for the corresponding day. I started out January 6th and today is the 80th podcast since January 6th. To put that in perspective, most busy podcasters will do 52 episodes in a year, one a week. And so the cool thing is we've done 80 since January 6th, if you do the math on that. But we've done interviews. Am I stopping doing interviews? Absolutely not. I'm going to have Deb Wilson on today. I have some amazing people coming on the show. Soup Nazi is going to be coming very soon. We just have some phenomenal human beings. Master G from Sugar Hill Gang is going to be on. But with all of these people, they seem to, or my perception is that they have had some victories. They've won. But then I started to say, and I got greedy with God, and I said, how could I win every time? Well, he gave me this blueprint first. It's got to be his will, his plan, and his timing. And then it goes back to my pops. My pops would ask me this question. He said, boy, he would say, there's only one question in life. And I'd be like, okay, what is it? He said, there's only one question that you need to answer and everything else will fall in line. I said, what is that? He said, do you want your best or do you want God's best? And I'd be mad a lot. And he would say, boy, do you want your best or do you want God's best? well, there was a lot of times where I wanted my best, but every single time that I sought my best, it was way, way, way different and a lot less than what God's best was. But it wasn't on my timing. It was on his. It wasn't my plan. It was his. It wasn't my will. It was his. So how do I win every time? Well, God gave it to me this morning in Proverbs 26. We go through the book of Proverbs because 3,000-year-old wisdom is, I think wisdom is principle-based. I don't think that. I know that. It's principle-based, and it transcends circumstance. My parents would always say to me when I would ask them a question, I say, I got a question about this. They say, I don't know, but I know someone who does. Then they'd direct my eyes to the Lord, and I would say, well, how can I see him? I don't see him. They said, just read his word. And once you start reading his word, then his word will start reading you. So let's jump right in. How do I win every time? Number one, avoid foolish behavior. Something that I didn't want to hear. And in verse 1 through 12, it goes through, like snow in summer or rain in harvest, honor is not fitting to a fool. Like a fluttering sparrow or a darting swallow, an undeserved curse does not come to rest. A whip for the horse and bridle for the donkey and a rod for the back of fools. Here we go. In verse number 3, a whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, a rod for the back of fools. How do we avoid foolish behavior? Number one, seek wisdom. How do we seek wisdom? By fearing God. And number 2, discipline. That's in verse number 3. Number 3 is keep a sober mind in verse number 9. It says, like a thorn bush in a drunkard's hand is a proverb in the mouth of a fool. Speak life. Verse number 10, like an archer who wounds at random is one who hires a fool or any passerby. Number 5 is learn. How do I avoid foolish behavior? Learn from your mistakes. Verse number 11, as a dog returns to his vomit, so fools repeat their folly. And then lastly is check your ego. And that's in verse number 12. Do you see a person who's wise in their own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than them. Are you wise in your own eyes? Are you trying to take human eyes and see spiritual things? Are you trying to take human hands or physical hands and move spiritual things? Well, that wouldn't be something that would be the smartest thing in the world. And generally that only happens because my ego gets in the way because I think that I can do it. So how do I win every time? Avoid foolish behavior. And in verse 1 through 12, it gives you a blueprint of how to avoid foolish behavior. In number 2, work diligently. What is diligent work? Diligent work is right work. How do we know what's right? By spending time with God. When we spend time with God, when we get in the Word and we read the Word, then it starts to read us. How can I be right? Well, God will give you the exact thing to do at that particular time, but you have to be present with him. How does that happen? By getting wisdom. Wisdom is the right use of knowledge. How do I get it? By fearing God. Why would I fear God? It's not fear and trembling. It's fear as far as respect. How do I respect him? By spending time with him and seeing that his words and his actions are right in line. That means that he has integrity. And when he has integrity, then you respect him. And if I respect him, which is the fear of God, then I get wisdom. And when I get wisdom, then I get the right use of knowledge. Then he brings knowledge. Then he brings understanding, insight, discretion, discipline, and then on to strength. And that focuses me right back to his word and the fear of him. And how can I learn to work diligently? Well, diligent is just right work. And if I'm present with God, he'll tell me what to do in that particular time at that exact moment. If I'm present with him, all he wants to do is spend time with you. So work diligently. In verse 14, as a dog returns, or as a door turns on its hinges, so the sluggard turns on his bed. A sluggard buries his hand in the dish and is too lazy to bring it back to his mouth. A sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 people who answer discreetly. Are you working diligently? And so if you want to win every time, you got to work diligently. What is diligent? It's right work. And so if you just work diligently, like this morning, I was that sluggard. I didn't really want to get out of bed. I rolled around. And what God was saying is just get up. Just get up and I will deliver. Just get up and I will deliver. Just get up and I will deliver. Now, there's some times where he has me stay in bed, snuggle with my wife or snuggle with my son. This morning, he said, get up and I will answer. And you know what? I came here. Proverbs 26, the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day. And what he's doing is giving me the blueprint to win every time. The last one here is very simple, is your words have the power of life and death. And that's in verse 17 through 28. And when I understood this, and I looked at it and I said, wow, in verse 17 through 28, like one who grabs a stray dog by his ears is someone who rushes into a quarrel not their own. Know when to speak and know when to hold back. Like a maniac shooting flaming arrows of death is one who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. Without wood, the fire goes out. Without gossip, quarrel dies down. As charcoal to embers and wood to fire is a quarrelsome person for kindling strife. The words of a gossip are like choice morsels. They go down to the innermost parts, like coating of silver dross on earthenware and fervent lips with an evil heart. Enemies disguise with their lips, but their hearts harbor deceit. Though their speech is charming, they do not believe them, for 7 abominations fill their heart. Their malice may be concealed by deception, but their wickedness will be exposed in the assembly. Whoever digs a pit falls into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. A lying tongue hates those who it hurts, and a flattering mouth works ruin. Here we go. Words have the power of life and death. And in verse 17 through 28, which we just read through, your mouth is just an overflow of your heart. So what's getting into your heart? And here was 3 things that we could do, and we can understand with the words having the power of life and death. And imagine you could speak life to somebody. You could breathe life into somebody. There are so many people around you right now that are struggling, that are just hanging on by a thread, and you could say something, you could compliment them, and you could lift them up. You could speak life to them. Use their name, say something specific to them, and it could give life to what's going on. Or there's something that you could say that would be sarcastic, or you could gossip with them and it sound good at the time, and guess what happens? Breaks that person down. Your words have the power of life and death, and those words come from your tongue. It's just a muscle, so make sure that you work the muscle in the right way, and that your mouth is an overflow of your heart. So be conscious of what you allow into your heart. The only way that it gets into your heart is through your eyes, through your ears, and through your senses. So watch what you hear, watch what you see. And here's 3 things. Number 1, avoid gossip. Number 2, speak with integrity. The same in the dark as you are in the light. And then lastly, speak life always. How do I win every single time? Well, it's very simple. That's what God told me through Proverbs 26 today. Avoid foolish behavior, seek wisdom, have discipline, keep a sober mind, speak life, learn always from your mistakes and learn from your victories. Check your ego, work diligently. What is diligent? It's right work. And then finally, understand that your words have the power of life and death, and you could breathe life into somebody. So avoid gossip. Speak with integrity, and speak life always, because your mouth is an overflow of your heart. So guard your heart at all costs. It's His will, it's His plan, and it's His timing. That's how you can win every single time. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I appreciate every single one of you. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple. The book is coming out. Wisdom in the Vibe is coming out. It's a prayer journal, which is going to be amazing. Secret Knock is coming September 11th in Las Vegas, the first time in Vegas, the #1 networking conference in the world. And the only way that you could get there is by being invited, because you can't come unless you're invited. And this guy has the invitations. Hit me up. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Corresponding proverb, corresponding day, 3,000-year-old wisdom. I'm out. Peace, love, and soul.